In a previous video, I ranked 20 sprinters in order of who I consider to have the best technique in the 100 meters. In this video, I'll be ranking the 20 best sprint techniques again, but this time I'll be looking at the 200 meters. The first athlete who makes the list at number 20 is Terence Laird. Having had the best season of his career 3 years ago in 2021, Terence Laird is an athlete who I still believe has a lot of potential because of how smooth his running form was when he was at his best. Because of Laird's light frame, he can look like he's floating down the track as he maintains his speed and technique while his competitors begin to fade. When it comes to leg turnover speed, Laird is one of the best we've ever seen in the 200 meters. Next on our list we have Kristoffer Mller. With an impressive PB of 19.80, Lemaitre was one of the main athletes challenging for places on the podium in the 200 meters during Usain Bolt's reign. Lemaitre's trademark was having a strong finish to his races, and he often made up massive ground if there were athletes in front of him when he got onto the straightaway. Despite being on the thinner side for a sprinter, there was a lot of power visible in Lemaitre's form, and his stride length was exceptionally large. Even though his form may have seemed a bit raw and less refined than other sprinters on this list, it was still a joy to watch when he was on his best day. In 18th place we have Francis Obikwelu. Having made it onto my list of the top 20 sprinting forms in the 100 meters, Obikwelu had a distinctive high knee lift running form that he carried over to the 200 meters as well. When Obikwelu was in full flow on the straightaway, his form looked quite effortless as he got the maximum out of his leg cycle with each stride, and when he had the lead coming off the turn, he was a difficult athlete to close down. Next up we have Justin Gatlin. With 5th place in my 100 meter sprinting form video, Justin Gatlin was an incredible technician while coming out of the blocks and going through his drive phase, which are skills that aren't as applicable to dominating in the 200 meters. While Gatlin didn't focus much on the 200 for the majority of his career, he does still have a World Champs Gold and Silver medal which he won 10 years apart, as well as a PB of 19.57. An aspect of Gatlin's form that still benefited him in the 200 meters was his strict and clean looking arm swing and his directly straight leg drive, wasting no time with side to side movement. With Gatlin's long strides, it sometimes looked like he was effortlessly bouncing forward with each step while his competitors were struggling to push themselves forward. At number 16 we have Felix Toru. Receiving a placing that's one better than his 100 meter placing, the best elements of Toru's form from the 100 meters are also demonstrated in the 200 meters since, like Gatlin, he has a very strict arm movement, only swinging his arms directly forward and back through one plane of motion. Toru appears to maintain a tall and upright posture when he's running, keeping his hips high and maintaining a very consistent leg cycle. At number 15 we have Michael Johnson. Possibly the most difficult athlete to rank on the list, Johnson had a particularly unorthodox running form with his unique posture and short choppy steps, but there's no doubt about the effectiveness of his technique for his own anatomical structure. Johnson has said that his running form allowed him to put more force down into the track as a result of his posture, and although his form isn't something many people will be able to replicate, he had a strong upper body and powerful arm swing that contributed to his speed, which other athletes can take note of. At number 14 we have Ato Boldon. Having been one of the best 100 meter sprinters of his era, Boldon had a strict form that he carried over to the 200, but he was also able to hold his form all the way through the race without losing any torso stability or having his foot land in front of his body, which tends to happen with some other athletes. At number 13 we have Johan Blake. Blake had a more powerful running form than some of the looser sprinters on this list, and he looked heavy at times, and he had a foot strike that looked like he was clawing back into the ground without a particularly high knee lift. What's impressive about Blake's form is that despite his power he was able to stay relaxed all the way through the finish line, which was helped by his impressive speed maintenance over the distance and not overexerting himself too early in the race. At number 12 we have Valerie Borzov. Although footage of Borzov running in the 200 meters is limited, we do have high quality video of his performance in the 1972 200 meter final, finishing with a time of 20 seconds flat, which was the 4th fastest clocking in the event's history at the time. While Borzov was renowned for having incredible technique in the 100 meters, he carried this technique into the 200 as well, and had a very smooth and synchronized running motion with a high knee lift. He ran with a slight forward chest lean, which is also something we've seen from Johan Blake and Usain Bolt on the instruction of Glenn Mills. However, Borzov had a tendency to lean for the line early, which may have cost him some time off his personal best. At number 11 we have Michael Marsh. As the winner of the 200 meter Olympic gold in 1992, Marsh is perhaps best known for his semi-final performance where he ran a time of 19.73, which was just 100 of a second off the world record, while looking like he wasn't even fully exerting himself. Marsh put a lot of emphasis on maintaining relaxation when he ran, and his leg cycle is quite satisfying to watch. Marsh did tend to have some rotation of his torso with each arm swing, which may simply be a result of his anatomy, but his technique was quite clean overall. In 10th place we have Andre de Grasse. De Grasse is a sprinter who has the anatomy to run without any limitations in his technique due to having a tapered build with narrow hips relative to his clavicles. Although nothing about de Grasse's form particularly stands out, it's his lack of flaws that makes him such a smooth looking runner. De Grasse maintains a relatively high knee lift all the way through the line, while some athletes who run both the 100 and 200 drop their knee lift slightly when running in the 200 compared to the 100, particularly in the final stages of the 200. At number 9 we have Joseph Fahnbulleh. Fahnbulleh is known as a slow starter in races as he takes long forceful steps when coming out of the blocks, and he takes time to build up momentum, but once he reaches his top gear he's a joy to watch. Like Kristoffer Mller, Fahnbulleh isn't the fastest around the bend, but once he reaches full flow he's able to take huge strides that work to his advantage coming down the straightaway. While other athletes sometimes look as though their body is working against them as they're trying to keep pushing in the final stages of the race, Fahnbulleh looks like all of his power is propelling him forward as he bounces from one foot to the other with his exceptionally long strides. At number 8 we have Letsile Tebogo. Possibly the most versatile athlete in their prime right now, Tebogo runs in a very relaxed manner when competing in any distance from the 100 to the 400 meters, and he maintains a very straight line posture from his hips up to his head, keeping his running form consistent in all events. When it comes to the 200 meters, Tebogo doesn't force his acceleration, but instead lets it build gradually so that he's in a prime position to finish the race as strong as he can. At number 7 we have Frank Fredericks. In my 100 meter sprinting form video, I gave Fredericks a placing of 15th as I found there were many sprinters with techniques that are all round more suited to the 100 meters. In the 200 however, there were few who had better 200 meter execution than Fredericks, which is evidenced by him recording a personal best time of 19.68 in the 1996 Olympic final. Fredericks ran with a stable core and very straight back posture, almost looking like he was sitting down in a chair, and he had a distinctive femur action as his legs appeared to pump straight up and down. At number 6 we have Omar Thompson. Despite being known mostly for running an incredible wind-aided time of 9.69 in the 90s, Omar Thompson put considerable focus into the 200 meters as well, and had some of the most aesthetic running form we've seen in the event. Thompson made his running look effortless, and a lot of this is due to how much relaxation he maintained, as we can see in the following clip, with absolutely no tension in the upper body and complete relaxation of the neck and jaw muscles. His open karate chop hands also made his arm swing look visually smooth, but wouldn't have made any notable performance impact. At number 5 we have Tyson Gay. Having underperformed in the 2005 World Champs final by finishing in 4th place with a time well below his standards, Tyson Gay would see his form improve in the following years, which led to him winning the 200 meter World Champs title in 2007. In the 2005 final, Tyson had less strict technique than we would see from him in later years, as his form broke down in the final 30 meters, allowing him to be overtaken to lose out on the bronze medal. Once Tyson entered his peak in the 200 meters, he was able to maintain his form all the way through the line, despite typically going out hard in the first half of the race, which shows the level of endurance he had built up. Like in the 100, Tyson ran with a very upright posture, and he was known for his amazing turnover while having a relatively low knee lift. At number 4 we have Maurice Greene. Even though Maurice Greene was primarily known for his achievements in the 100, his exploits in the 200 shouldn't be overlooked given that he's won gold in the World Championships and has a PB of 19.86. While he had the advantage in the 100 meters of a very well executed drive phase and transition, his technique during upright running carried over to the 200, and he maintained a very strict form with minimal sideways movement. Greene has stated that limiting sideways movement was one of the focus points, along with keeping his upper body very relaxed so that his neck and traps wouldn't tense up. Despite Greene's muscular and powerful build, which was the status quo for 100 meter sprinters, he didn't lose any endurance to his competitors over the 200 meter distance. As we enter the top 3 of this list, I think you can make a case for all three athletes being worthy of taking the number 1 spot, but since they need to be separated, this is the placing I settled on. In third place we have Carl Lewis. Lewis could be considered the standard for the most visually appealing 200 meter running form of the 20th century, and although I placed him as 10th on my sprinting form video for the 100 meters, the deficiency of his block start isn't such a hindrance to his 200 meters. Lewis was known for his signature knee lift, as he always tried to get the most out of his stride length and ran in a very elegant manner, first building momentum, then maintaining his speed through the art of relaxation. Unfortunately, a lot of the footage during Lewis's prime years in the 200 meters is low quality, but his form is still unmistakable. There were some races where Lewis's form broke down as he lost torso stability, rotating from side to side when he couldn't take command of the race. Given that he ran his 200 meter PB 8 years prior to his 100 meter PB, it does seem like he peaked very early in the event, and had he not celebrated early in his 19.75 race, it seemed like the world record was within his reach. In second place we have Noah Lyles. Having run both the most sub 20 second and sub 19.7 second races of anyone in history, Lyles has had some of the most consistently ideal running form we've ever seen in the event. Lyles has described the 200 meters as a finesse race, so his strategy has usually been to build up his acceleration gradually so that he can finish the strongest on the straightaway. When Lyles managed to get the best start of his career in the 2022 World Championship final, it led to him setting a new PB and American record of 19.31, and he said that he felt his back arching and his knees began to drop when approaching the line, but from a visual standpoint his form still looked impressive in spite of this. Lyles displays a very efficient looking running style with no side to side movement, and he maintains an upright back posture while also keeping his hips high. When it comes to track athletes who rely more on elastic bounce than raw power, Lyles is one sprinter that epitomises this, which is why the 200 meters has always seemed like the perfect sprinting distance for him. Before we reveal the athlete in first place, I'd like to name some honourable mentions, which include Wallace Spearman, Michael Norman, Saidi Njure, and the Jamaican Don Quarry, who was right on the verge of making this list. Taking first place in our list of the greatest sprinting forms ever in the 200 meters, we have Usain Bolt. As the world record holder and the greatest 200 meter sprinter of all time, when it came to picking the athlete with the greatest form in the event, I couldn't look any further than Usain Bolt. Despite having some inconsistencies with his form, with his self-admitted loss of form and dropping of his knees while approaching the line during his 1919 world record, when Bolt didn't overexert himself too early in the race, we could see he maintained his form perfectly through the line and managed to run scintillating times while doing so. There is the belief that if he held back slightly and ran the first 100 meters of his world record in the time of 10 flat rather than the time of 9.92, then he would have had enough left in the tank to finish the race with an even faster time, but we can leave that to speculation. Because Bolt had the ability to create a massive gap on his opponents even within the first 30 meters of the 200, he really had no weak points to his race, since he was the best starter in the field and he had the top speed and endurance that nobody else could match. Early in his career, Bolt had an issue with leaning backwards when he was running out of stamina, but as he strengthened his body, he was better able to maintain his form and looked effortless as he glided down the track. When looking from the side camera angle, we can fully appreciate Bolt's technique with his excellent leg cycle and powerful arm swing, demonstrating the perfect combination of power and precision in an athlete. Do you agree with my ranking of the athletes in this video? And who else do you think deserved a place on the list? Please leave your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.